So while we've seen those conditions improve, we're still in need of much more rain. Meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees joining us now with a closer look at these drought conditions. What's changing here?
Well, Jane, essentially, as Brad just mentioned, we went from the worst to the fourth worst. In fact, this was last week's. You can see that little bit of exceptional drought that was over parts of our area. As we progress into time, essentially that dropped from exceptional and actually out of extreme in a few cases down to severe. That doesn't mean that anybody, like you said, is out of drought conditions. It just means that overall things have improved, and we got relatively lucky that those improvements happened here. So that begs the question as to where do we go from here? We got 2 inches of rain with that event last week. Well, we know 2 inches can at least have a small change, but we still need about 15 in a 1 month period or 23.5 in a 3 month period to get out of drought conditions. So we're likely to see those numbers go right back if we don't get improvement anytime soon. Now, so far, we are still slightly above average for the month of May, but remember, it's only May 14th. So these numbers will likely go back into the negative, and we are still 7.46 overall drier than where we should be year-to-date compared instead of month-to-date compared. And that's on top of a deficit of about 6.3 from last year. So that's kind of where that 14 to 15 inch range comes from when it comes to how much rain we need to get out of drought conditions and back to normal, because we're not just talking about a deficit for this year, but a deficit left over from 2025 as well. Droughts don't go away in a day. They also don't start in a day, but they also don't go away in a day. So I think that's really the big message here. And I know it can be kind of confusing for viewers because we have lesser drought conditions technically now, right? Even though water restrictions begin tomorrow. But the big answer is that it will take a lot more rain to get out of those drought conditions, and that those levels of stages, right, the voluntary versus mandatory, don't necessarily go off exactly what the U.S. Drought Monitor has. It's normally an advisory council that has a lot of factors that go into it. The Drought Monitor, as well as the Catawba River Basin, levels, things of that nature. So again, there's a lot more that goes into that. Unfortunately, at least in the long term, it doesn't look like we're getting any substantial rain over the next week. Hopefully another period of 2 inches plus, Jane, at some point, but it's definitely not happening in the next 7 days.
Yeah, such a long way to go too, Brittany, thanks. And she mentioned it, the mandatory water restrictions taking effect tomorrow for Charlotte water customers. Stay with us in less than 10 minutes. Our Megan Bragg verifies how the city plans to enforce these restrictions and whether you'll face fines if you break them.